All right, there we go. Should be recording. Everybody should be coming in. Let's see. I said a lot of people been watching these after the fact, but and most of the time I can't get them uploaded to YouTube in time until Monday, so it's kind of too late after that. So might try to change this up a little bit. See, because the week was a bit light, so we can do a quick little review. But I want to, if there's only a handful of people on this call, maybe we see what other people want to share or have questions, right? If there's a bunch of people on here, then it's harder for, for you to ask that stuff. But anyways, let's start out with how the week was, right? I personally think the week was started all right, and then it quickly died off. Monday and Tuesday was the more active days. And then I think Wednesday and on it was completely dead. I don't even think there was much continuation or good press releases. A lot of these stocks were just releasing earnings and conference stuff. There's a lot of stocks, these pharmaceutical stocks, releasing data or blah, blah, blah at this conference or that conference. And usually that's not a, pretty good runner, in my opinion. Usually they don't hold. So, so anyways, it was pretty slow. You had to get it early and then kind of get out. I don't think there's much continuation. So anyways, Monday, which was the 6th, I don't think there was too much, but let me look at it. And if anybody has a particular stock they want me to look at on Monday, regardless if it's on our watch list or not, please let me know. So CAUD was on the watch list. I don't think it did much. Had some quick little pop here. I think it was on our watch list because it was something happened with it the day before or something obviously died off, but it had this pre-market pop. It didn't do anything. It quickly found resistance and then the stock fell off. So nothing going on CAUD. I think, was there a later runner? Was that what it was? Somebody refresh my memory. What happened on Monday? 11.6. So here was a after hours play on the, nope, it just started running Monday morning. And we tried here, where's 7 a.m. Yeah, nothing. I don't even know why I'm looking at SLS, but that didn't do anything. So I'm just going down the watch list because I don't see anything on Monday yet. MVIS. Let's look at this one. Okay, here we go. So MVIS looks like we had some type of press release here. The stock popped up, hit some area resistance pretty much here at 275. There's some chart resistance here, and the stock died on down. There was nothing to it, no reversal, nothing else continued. So once again, you either were early or you were out. You could have played some maybe mini reversal here. There was a quick little intraday resistance at this 268. And then what did it do? It pulled back to this 10 EMA, set up in a little mini bull flag, popped, double topped into the high day, struggled here, and then eventually we cracked VWAP and we were right back down, cracked 10 EMA and all that stuff. So if you're in from entries from down here, you may be risked to where VWAP and this 10 EMA crack, so you're out pretty much break even. So honestly, not much to write home about on MVIS. OGI, I don't think I even played that. I think this was a cheapie. Just look at it. Like I said, well, there we go. We'll look at this one. So the 6. Here's 6. I don't normally play till 7. So 6 in the morning. This would have been on your gainers list early. Obviously, it had some pre-market pop. I don't start playing until 7. But what happened? The stock's just pretty much at 7 o'clock when traders got to their computer. It just started moving up. So I did see that on a couple plays. Usually, if I'm sorting through my gainers list before I get on the call at 7 and the stock's right around VWAP, I will play them as soon as I see a surge or like price action coming in, because what's the risk? I pretty much treat this as a news pop play. And if you been working with me at all, you know what a news pop play is, where you're trying to get in off from the news pop where it first entered or open. I'd be treating this the same thing. So at 7 a.m., if the stock just randomly starts moving up, because of whatever move it had at 4 a.m., I'll get in, and my risk is going to be pretty much all based where the stock started at 7 a.m. So if I got in off this candle here, but it quickly cracked the low of this candle, I'd be exiting out on the long side, right? That's or you could go short there because you're right back below VWAP. But the stock did keep going, kept going, formed a nice little bull flag here, held the 10 EMA. Now we're setting the trend. And CAD ran Friday after hours. Okay, we'll look at that Friday. We're setting the trend. We're riding the 10 EMA. We're going. We had a 200 on the weekly target up here. So this is probably where the stock was going. You had some chart history, kind of same area. It does come up, pretty much hits it, pulls back, tries to do it again, pretty much double tops, sets in a lower high. And then what happens? We start to crack the 10 EMA. So this whole trend here is now broken, right? So now if you're still interested in this, you're either looking for a dip buy off from support or to break this upper resistance, right? You're not buying anywhere in between. That's it. So we're looking. We come up to resistance, doesn't happen. Now we're coming back up. We're coming up to resistance. Quick wick up through. I don't play wicks. Obviously, we can only see so much on a stationary chart. It doesn't happen, and the stock comes back down. And I think that's the end of OGI, right? Let's see what happens after market open. I don't think it offered any other trades. Nope. Pretty much just sat sideways. So once again, you're either in early or that's it. But Monday, pretty much dead. I didn't really want to talk about Monday anyways. So let's go to Tuesday, right? Tuesday. The big one was PXMD, right? Who did good on PXMD? Anybody do good on PXMD or catch it? But this was a pretty solid play, right? We had some type of press release. The stock popped up, right? We had the news pop. We had the pullback, a really good entry through the 50 MA if you missed the pullback. And then the stock just continued once again, ride the 10 EMA. Hold on, let me fix something. I don't use the 25 EMA anymore. I made that a hard rule. So anyways, I had to get that off my chart. But we're riding the 10 EMA. That's the trend. Once we crack the trend, you can expect the stock to pull back. You don't want to be long once we crack this area. We crack the 10 EMA. We hit this area of chart resistance. We were above this red line, which is 100%. So we already made 100%. The stock came down. Then we started to form an area of resistance, right? I had an intraday resistance at 631. I even put out a care package for that, right? We had right here, PXMD. I issued it at, 9:27 in the morning. So actually before market open. But I think I put something in the chat room that I was not going to play this the first 3 to 5 minutes. And if you've been trading with me, you should automatically know I'm not going to play this first market open candle madness over here. I'm going to wait 3 to 5 minutes, and then I'm going to take the break. So 631 was an intraday line. You had a line here, which was a resistance. Then you had a line here. This was the intraday line that I was also looking at. And then you had one more right here. So let me mark this up just so you see. Sorry, I deleted my lines from earlier lessons. And then I had one more here. All right. So it's kind of hard to see. It's 632. I'll just put down 1 penny so it matches the alert. But we had resistance here. When the stock was moving up, it formed the 631. It pulled back. Then it kept going. Then it formed the upper resistance, which was around the 664. Stock pulled back. And then look at how many times we came and rejected, right? 631, 631, 631, 631. So why do you think I wanted to play a 631 break after market open if the stock was holding? The stock was still above VWAP going into market open. And I knew, hey, we're going to have a crazy candle, usually a fake out breakout. Then it usually will have a little bit of a sell off. And then if we hold, which in this case, we held this perfect intraday support at 588, that there's probably a high probability, since there was really nothing else on the day, because the day was pretty quiet, that we're probably going to break this and continue and go up. Yes, I was concerned that, hey, we have 100% here, this red line, but we're above that. I know if we break 100%, we'll probably have, 200% in range, right? Well, 200% was up here, right? At $9. And then what do we have if we start breaking this area? You're always going to have $10 natural area resistance. So if you look at the care package, that's why I have 7,750, 8, 915, and 10, right? So 10 was my top target on this, and I was selling partial into each one of these. The stock went on a great market open pop. It up halted, for 10 minutes from 9:43 or sorry, 44 to nope. Yep. 10 minutes here. So the first up halt, or was it back here? Sorry. There's a first up halt here from 9:33 to 9:43 for 10 minutes. And then it opened for a minute. Then it halted again from 9:44 to 9:54. So we're in our second up halt. We just hit all our targets and then we actually down halted, right? 9:55 to 10 o'clock. So a 5-minute down halt here. Nobody should have been chasing into a third up halt, especially into 200%. Sure, the stock could have kept going 300, 400, 500. Heck, it could have hit these additional targets up here, the 200, the weekly on the 50, all those. But you have to be selling some into that. And then we come down and we actually we failed to hold 10 EMA, we crack, and now we're going back down to these support levels where we kind of hung out and didn't do anything the rest of the day. Look at how many times we just sat here kind of in this 531 and 631 and 664 area. We just sat there and traded sideways on it. So that was it for PXMD. If you missed the earlier madness on this and sat around all day, you didn't get anything else. It hasn't, in my opinion, especially much past Wednesday, been worth trying to trade into the afternoon. Now, Ali did say something about, CAUD on Friday. So maybe there was something on Friday. I did not stick around much on Friday, but we can look at that. So now we move into Wednesday. I said, good morning, a better start to the day than previous mornings. I see possibly trending up for AM activity. Today, my watch list is TAOP and CDIO. So maybe it was Thursday that I went to crap, but let's look at TAOP. Like I said, I'm just trying to do a quick little review. Not trying to, because I want you guys to ask questions if you have, it can be just general trading questions, but TAOP pops up, hit some upper chart resistance here. We pull back and then what fails? We failed to do a bull flag. We've start doing downtrend. We're below VWAP. So we're doing a VWAP rejection and we're down, right? So really no reversal or additional trading opportunities on TAOP unless you got enough the news pop. I don't even see, maybe you got some quick little scalp here, but it wasn't good. CDIO. What is that? The 8th. Yep. So CDIO. This was a previous day runner. That's why I have so many freaking lines on this chart. So CDIO actually popped up. What was it? Tuesday. After market open, all that stuff, it just kind of came out of nowhere, right? I think CDIO was maybe even a player before. So CDIO popped up and then it became on a radar. People seen that it held its gains overnight and then they were interested in playing it the next day. This did have just a very clean red to green move. I think it was Brownie. Somebody pointed out, maybe it was Ali or Brownie, but one of you pointed out and was like, hey, watch CDIO for the PCL. And it did do that. It came up through 137 and it was just a solid play up and it respected the lines from before, right? We came to this, held the support, came up, hit 170, and then that's where we dropped down. And then once again, we respected it there. And then what was it? Not until the afternoon that it died out. So nothing going on CDIO after that market open. So once again, not the best play, not really what I want to see on continuation. There was some higher targets on this. Obviously, way up here, you got all the EMAs stacked. So if CDIO wanted to go, could have, but didn't happen. And there was this is when LIFW and all those. So that's when it turned into, watching previous runners. Because now Thursday, I said, slow start to the morning. Today, traders could look at old runners. So keep an eye on those, right? And once again, I brought up CDIO, LIFW, PXMD, and TNON. Those were kind of all the old runners because what we were seeing at market open was we were starting to see these stocks you could just watch the PCL, the previous close. And as soon as they started going green on the day, you could enter off from the previous runners and traders were just trying to buy them back up because there was nothing else coming out on the press releases. So traders were bored. They were just trying to find something. So I don't know that there was much on that. And then we go into Friday, I said, another slow start to the day as we wrap up, right? A lot of ERs, all that stuff. And then today's watch list, INVO. I think we got one of these I caught. Was it INVO? Yeah, it might have been INVO. I'd have to, I think I played this one up here through 136 and then we're going to 100% or something, but I can't remember. But this was a good stock. Nice little pop here in market open or pre-market pulled back. Try to make a reversal. Found the same resistance line here at 100%. Found it again, pulled back. And then this was a very nice entry. If you were able to recognize that, hey, we keep rejecting this point. Maybe we look here, sell some into this target, and you're looking for 200% as a top target, which it pretty much did. And then that was kind of game over on the trade. So INVO, that was it. And then I think it was done. None of the other stocks, the old runners, ran up besides, what'd you say? CAUD. Let's look at that real fast. Let's see what Allie said. Ran hard. So, okay. Did this have news that you know? I wasn't here Friday evening. Yes, no, you know? I don't know. If you know, let me know. But what happened? Something happened here in after hours. So usually 4 o'clock, if you're going to get a press release, it's going to have there, but it looks like this stock actually started, well, maybe it's 4:30. So maybe 4:30 it had news. So stock pops up. It just instantly starts running. Looks like 100% line was here. So it just came up, hits a little bit of resistance here, pulls back, tests it again, pulls back. And then we actually get the break of 100%. And where does it go? No surprise, 50 MA. Then it breaks the 50 MA. Where does it go? The 200 and the 50 and the 200 on daily. All this stuff here. And 200% we never hit, but these were the top targets, tons of resistance here, and it pulls back. So that's why you can see that these areas of resistance are very important to add to your chart. I didn't trade it. So, you know, we can see that there was obviously a couple bull flags. You got things that I talk about every week. You got the extension, which is the candle buys pulling off 10 EMA, multiple places, right? Before the stock pulls back. So anytime it looks like that stuff is still prominent and working, you got extension on RSI, extension on RSI, extension on RSI. So this is why I like to use these indicators, especially if you're not in on the trade yet. This will keep you from chasing, because if you're, you know, starting to drool and you start seeing these things just moving up, you're like, I got to get it. I need it. And you start to see the extension in higher RSI. This should prevent you from pulling the trigger, because the last thing you want to do is pull a trigger up here on the long side, and then you got to stomach the pullback, right? Doesn't mean it's dead as soon as it starts pulling back, but most traders, they start to panic. They see it pulling back. They exit out, even though the pattern's still building. We're still bullish. And then what happens? They sell out here because they can't stomach it coming down anymore, even though it's still good. And then all of a sudden stock holds the next candle, and then it makes the next leg up, right? So many new traders do that. And I don't want you to do that. So anytime I'm looking to buy a break or buy into a bullish push, my first area that my eyes are drawn is extension and RSI. And the same thing to a break, right? If I'm looking to buy a high day break or a resistance break, I am never going to take a high day or resistance break if we are already extended or we are high on the RSI, because that means that there's a high probability that the next few candles, it's going to come back down and it's going to fail, or at least pull back and cool off. So I hate when I see, if I'm looking for a break area and also we get a big, you know, maybe the stock's trading down here and we get a big explosion up to that resistance area, I know that that's too fast, too quickly, you know, or too high too quickly for it to be sustainable, and that these next candles are probably going to be extended and RSI is probably going to be high with that surge. So I need to let it pull back, kind of do like the shuffle or set up into a flag or something, and then take the next break. So don't chase into these extensions. I think we talk about it every week, but it just seems like somebody always messages me, which I'm grateful you do, but they're still doing it. So don't buy this stuff. Don't fall victim to FOMO. Ali said, CAU blank chef company merger. I believe that was early. I got in low threes sketch. So some type of merger. So maybe if it was, maybe it was like a rumor, you know, it could, but most of the time, if it's like a binding or non-binding offer or something like that, you'll just see a pop, and then usually it fades off, because a non-binding offer means it's not yet 100%, right? It's not locked in. That means just somebody's offering. Just like you could walk into anywhere and offer to buy them for whatever money, right? You know, anybody can do it. So what's stopping these other people from doing it? It doesn't mean that they're agreeing to the offer of being bought out at $6, but sometimes you will see the price run up to whatever that offer price is. But it's hard to, why would you pay above what the offer is? So if It does say non-binding on that one. Funny. So, and that's the thing. Don't pay over what they're offering. Sometimes you'll see the offer is $5, but the stock is way above that. Like, I don't know why you would be willing to pay more than what the non-binding offer would be. That's just simply just a short squeeze or, bears in trouble or something like that. Another thing that I'm adjusting for me this week, and I know there's a few people here that's been waiting for it, is I'm going to probably loosen my reins and possibly start shorting a little bit more actively, especially in pre-market and through market open, right? And day one runners. Now, if you've been working with me for a while, you know how particular I am on shorting stuff. So even though I advise against being aggressive on day one runners and top gainers, I can short successfully this stock as it moves up at these particular areas. And, I have very specific rules on how to short this stuff. So since there's a lot of people asking me like, hey, are you ever going to do shorting stuff? It's hard for me to maybe put out a care package of a specific area to short because it's dependent on specific candles. But if you're on voice with me in the morning, then I will start to announce it a little bit more like, hey, I think I did it on Friday. I was like, hey, I'm looking for this short. Look at this red candle. As soon as we do this, I'm going to be looking short. So stuff like that, I'm going to start doing more actively because there is some bears here. Doesn't mean I'm short on the top gainer that you can't play it long still. You definitely can, but I am just going to be bringing shorting to the group a little bit more. So other than that, what time is it? It's pretty early. Not much to talk about today, 7:28, but I wanted to open the floor up to any generic question. There's not a lot of people here, so, hopefully you're not all shy, but it can be pertain to something we traded on this week, last week. It could be a totally off the wall question like, hey, what do what's your favorite stock? I don't know. It could be something out of the norm. And if we don't get a lot of questions, then we'll just end the call early because I don't see that there's a lot to talk about from last week. So what do you think? Anybody want to talk? Somebody's got a question. I know. Can't be afraid to ask it. Oh, Brownie's going to unmute. Okay.
I can. I don't know if you can share on it or not without the level two, but Rob was talking this week and but he was talking about your entry and looking for a stall and like the time and sales.
For what?
For entering on a candle on a stock moving up.
Oh, like when he gets out, like if he sees it stall or
no, I'm entering on one.
Entering on a stall. I remember him briefly saying something about that. I think we were explaining to Mike about buying the break point and how I think Robert says he waits for. Does that sound familiar? I'm trying to remember it.
Yeah, I thought he was talking about your entry though, and then you agreed with him, I thought, but I could be wrong.
You know what day or stock it was? So then I can.
Don't.
Oh, yeah. So that would be hard for me to.
But it was kind of, I was talking about entering on a candle that's, candles that are ripping up, right? Like on how to try to find your entry. Because you can't always get the end of that candle, you might.
Oh, like if I'm buying at 58 seconds and stuff.
Yeah, you might not be able to do that, right? I mean, it might be ripping, right? So how do you find your entry or sit out?
Right. So you should know, kind of the pre-market patterns. If I'm looking for, you get the first little volume or the news pop, maybe we can go to PXMD. This might be easier to explain on it. And I may get asked this a lot too. Let me clear this stuff. But as you know, the news pop where we do our work, we usually don't catch this stuff unless you're like a beast like Brownie where he caught Mott's, which was an amazing trade. Nice job. you got to wait for the pullback and then you're waiting for resistance. You may hear people talk about 58-second rule and you know, and all that stuff. I think that rule applies to, you know, particular trades, not necessarily into a break of resistance area, because a lot of times if you wait for the break of a upper resistance, it's going to be too late if you're waiting for the end of the candle to buy and using the 58-second rule. If you don't know what the 58-second rule is, then you might get a little lost on this. But I think that rule is good to use off from reversal candles, like for instance, doji candles or inverse hammers or whatever like that, because there usually isn't a volume surge coming in on that particular candle. It's usually going to be like the next candle that's going to happen. Like in this case, you got like this nice little bull flag here, and then you get the surge through this reversal candle. So if you're buying here, you're kind of too late. So you need to know that your first buy is going to be here, but if your second buy is going to be up here at the actual break of this resistance, which is magically lines up with the 50 MA in this case, you can't wait till 58 seconds on this. You have to just see the volume surging through and take the break through this. So I don't know. In what you might be asking about the stall, sometimes you see the stock come up and it will stall a little bit because you're still going to be seeing some selling pressure into that, right? Because that's where it sold off from before, and the people that are playing the reversal down here is selling off here. So this is, you know, what I think Rob was saying of the stall. He's seen the stall.
Yeah, you don't just want to hotkey in there and
right,
take that wick, right? What are you looking for on that level 2 to hit your button, you know, your go signal?
Yeah. And it's hard to explain on a stationary chart, but maybe we can get one where we can see it next week and live, because what you do want to see is, well, let me go back, because what you will see sometimes is the stock will just pop up. But as soon as you see it pop up, if you're not, this is why it's important to use level 2, because all of a sudden, maybe, you know that this resistance is at 542 and you just got the pop up here to 576, and you look at your level 2 and now the bids are way down here at 491. Do you think you want to be hitting buy on that when all the bid support fell out? No, you don't. But what you would like to see is what? The stock pop up, maybe pop up a little bit through like this wick did, and then it hits that quick little selling pressure. And that's what the stall that we're talking about. You briefly will see the stall, but the bid support stays up, right? It doesn't just fall out. If a stock rips up into resistance and the bid falls out, that's what happens when you get those candles where they just freaking go up and then literally in a split second, they're way back down, right? They create like this, like a huge doji or just a big red candle, even though it technically on a live chart, it was green for a split second. On a stationary chart, it's just going to look like a big, nasty red candle, right? And you don't want to do that if the bids are falling out. So in this case, what you did see is a stock popped up. Now you're building above it. It probably stalled a little bit. And then you could have, just look for the next candle, open, volume push, and go in. I can't tell you where this candle opened. I will tell you it probably opened somewhere between 536 and 669. Just because it's a Heikin-Ashi candle, but that would be the stall, in this case. Now over here, we'll pretend this bull flag formed a little bit higher. You're probably not going to get much of a stall into this resistance because the break point and where you want the surge of volume to come in is so close to that resistance. You don't want that, right? This is people that are playing downtrend, that's a downtrend break. People that are playing a bull flag, this is a bull flag break. So, and as I like to teach, if you're waiting for the end of a pattern to set up and where you want to play, what do you want at the end of a pattern? Does anybody know the answer to that? Well, there's a couple people in here that should know this answer. What do you want to see, or what do you want to happen at the end of a pattern? There you go, volume. So if you're playing, if you see a volume surge at the end of a break of a pattern, you got a resistance line just briefly above it. What's the probability that stock's just going to, volume's going to continue, it's going to keep going, and it's not going to stop at that resistance point, right? Because you don't want it to stop if it's just broke. So that means if resistance is really close, we'll pretend that the resistance line was down here, right? since the resistance line was so close, you got the volume surge. It's not going to stop. It's just going to go through. So if you miss your entry here and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I missed my entry. Let me just wait for 58 seconds here. Guess what? Volume surging because of this pattern happened first. This 58-second rule for this resistance break happens second. So this is going to be probably not happen. So you're going to be too late, or you're going to just see that the stock just goes past you. So a lot of people probably have that issue. I don't know if you have that issue, Brownie, where you find yourself waiting for 58 seconds on a resistance break that is outside of maybe a pattern happened earlier. And then you find yourself, what happened? By the time you wait for 58 seconds, the bids are too high and you're just like, yeah, I can't chase it, right? And the only way you could have chased it was if you played it, but you do put yourself at risk with the candle. So if you put yourself at risk, you can only play this way with hotkeys. You need to see it. So if you put yourself at risk and you play the volume surge, because that's a very positive thing. Volume trumps everything all the time, 24/7. We should all know that by now. So we got volume come in. That's a very bullish thing. We're breaking resistance. Hopefully we stay above. That's very bullish. You're watching your level 2. You enter. You're not waiting for the end of the candle. You enter at 539 or whatever right here. And all of a sudden you start to see bids fall out. You hit your GTFO, you're out instantly, right? You're probably getting a little bit of slippage, but you gave it a shot. And also, in this case, it's early in the morning. There's a reason why I love playing all this stuff so early. And I've explained this to a couple, another student earlier today, this is like your calling sign, right? So many people think this first pop, it's done and the stock's over with. No, look at the volume over here to the volume the whole rest of the time, right? This just called the herd in, called all the traders, hit all the scanners. Now you got how much time for what? All the people on StockTwits and Twitter and other Furus and Instagram posts and all this stuff to be like, PXMD, call, come look at me. So you're super early. So why would you be afraid to play a volume push after the first pullback? The stock is still so fresh. It's only how old? This thing's a baby, right? This is going to have different strength than deciding to be aggressive on something way over here later in the day, because as we know, the later day trading has not been very good. So you're probably putting yourself more at risk trying this type of strategy over here versus in pre-market, right? Because this is getting all the attention, especially if there's nothing competing with it. If it's a slow morning and this is the only news play that we have, then there's probably a high probability that this is just where all traders are going to be. And this is going to continue to stay as the number one trade, right? And the only time that can change is on our press release time. And as we do on my calls, is we look at the press release every press release time, just in case there's a possibility that something else is going to test whatever this top gainer may be for the time. So I don't know if that helps answer it, but I know where you're at with your stuff, Brownie, and I'm just saying that I've been a bit more aggressive, not playing that rule on a resistance break in this area. I've been more aggressive, just more plain volume. So because I've just done it too many times, I wait 58 seconds and it's already past me. So
yeah, no, I don't wait for it. I mean, I like it to happen that way, but I'll use it more so to know where the next candle's opening. A lot of times I'm already in the trade, and I'm just using it to know what to do next.
Yeah, like I'm still in down fear. What are we going to open red or green on this next candle? Because if I open red on this candle, we're probably going to crack here, and I probably need to get out because now we're cracking this. This trend, this 10 EMA is not going to hold anymore. So, and that's why I use it. You don't see a lot of lines drawn on my chart, but it's like, go and look back at a lot of these charts and just like simply see how easy it is. Like base your risk off from these morning poppers are so easily off the fresh part, off this 10 EMA. It just really is. Like, obviously if you're buying up here into this resistance, 10 EMA is way down here. So your risk is different than buying the reversal out of this bull flag and where it happens to be the 10 EMA. So you can play different size here than what you could play different size here, which ultimately, yes, if you would have bought here and stomached the pullback, it still would have worked out. But that's not how we're trying to trade. We are not trying to buy, hold, and hope, and put ourselves at risk. Because right here, 610 break, 10 EMA 50 is all the way down here at 535. That's like what, 80 cents, 75 cents, something like that. That's way too much, way too much risk on the trade. So, and once again, what does this do? I just went over on the thing. You got extension. So you shouldn't be buying into this stuff anyways. You got extension. You got extension. Every time the stock extended, it pulled back down to it. So don't be aggressive. The wait for the trade, plan it out, put together your plan, and then go after it, right? Same thing here. If you miss this first up halt, second up halt, we got extended. Why would you chase into this? Just because it trying to break $10 and go above 200%. I don't know. Maybe you read on StockTwits somebody says it's going to $100. You can't believe that crap. You have to limit yourself. So, okay. Well, good question. Who's got another one? And if you have any suggestions on maybe something I'm lacking in the morning, maybe you want me to do better, I can always make changes to the morning calls. I just stay the same pace unless somebody's, suggests something else. So if somebody wants to see more, or maybe I'm not directing or walking through this or that, or maybe I'm not going to entertain. I'm not going to do that. You get me my same level trading every morning. Sure, I might get a big trade here or there and get a little excited, but who doesn't? So we talk about Brownie's news pop play. News came out. He smoked this thing, got in, I think, on this second candle, right around here, and then was just selling on the green candles up and then got out before the pullback even happened, and unfortunately, if you play a news pop play, you don't really have time to chart all this stuff out unless it's a stock that you played many times before and you just happen to have lines on your chart. But, when you're in the news pop play, you start to see the extension. You should use that to your advantage and know, okay, say you bought X amount of shares, you're hitting 25% sells up here. You start to see the extension. Now, okay, it's probably a pullback's going to happen, which it does, right? Pullback happens, come back down. We're still holding. We come back down. We finally touch the 10 EMA. Unfortunately, the stock doesn't go more. I think there was more targets. I think I even had alert ready, or I even posted it. I think I had one for like pretty much $6. I thought if it broke $6, we had a lot of room left still to this 50 EMA and this 100% up here at 7. So we still had quite a bit of meat left on the bone. But the news was pretty crappy, honestly, on Mott's. Do you remember what it was?
Oh, it was garbage.
It was complete fluff, right? So I was even surprised it had a pop like this, but the float was extremely small. It wasn't like 300K or something. So that's another thing we can take into account for Money Monday, like garbage news and just low floats. And I seen that I think there was another one that was like a low float, that kind of.
We really had good news last week.
Yeah. Well, since we've seen so many do the earnings, I think we're going to be fine. I think we're going to finally see those trickle out, because all like the blue chips are through it, right? All the big names are through it. So now you got the last of these, you got the conferences wrapping up. I really think we're going to start seeing, hopefully, as people call it, the Santa rally, right? Hopefully into the end of the year, because there's not much time left, and we need to, I say it every week, but we need to see the change, even though we are still getting 100% moves. We had a 200% move on PXMD. I mean, that's big. This one almost hit 100%. That's pretty big. So, I mean, you're still seeing it, but there's just not much continuation after they hit those targets. They're just not continuing on. So it hasn't been worth holding it here. So, what else we got? Anything? Or we'll give it another minute here. If nobody asks a question, then we'll just wrap it up. Just be ready for tomorrow, which I don't know. How do you think it's going to be next week, Brownie? What do you think? Honest opinion.
Friday was the market closed strong. All like the big blue chips, and it was really good.
Okay, so we think we're going to start to see a little bit of reversal, because markets did die off a little bit last week, right?
So I was pretty impressed with the Friday.
Okay, so Friday is promising. So maybe for Money Monday. But ultimately, what will we do? We'll just watch for news. See, I don't think there's, what was it? CAUD. So CAUD would be the only stock that you should maybe have preloaded onto your stuff and be ready to watch, just in case this holds through 4 a.m., 5 a.m., and then it hears. But like I said, Ali posted the news as a non-binding offer. So this, like I showed, what was it? Right when we got on the first call, I'm going to do the same thing at 7:00. If this is up on my gainers list and is up here a little bit or holding at 7:00, I see volume coming in. I'm going to treat that as a pop. I'm just instantly going to buy it. And then if it wicks up and then comes back down and cracks right where my break-even entry is, I'm stopping out. But if I buy it and it keeps going up, then I'm going to do what? I already have my targets. I could go in here and mark this chart up a little bit better, which I should. But now I know, okay, I'm going to sell here, sell here, sell here, sell here, and so on and so forth. These red lines will change. Snapple says, a bit of off topic. Does Thinkorswim show up alt prices? It does not. I think there's a script I've heard about possibly if you're using Thinkorswim level 2, which you shouldn't be. But it doesn't. I know is there any Webull traders in here besides Snapple that use level 2? I actually know. Well, but I don't think you know how to see halts either. But I think Webull does show it. I'm not 100% sure. So, but Thinkorswim doesn't. I don't know if Webull does, but maybe somebody will answer it here. I can ask again in the morning, but
I subscribe to level 2 on Webull, and it just shows like the bids and the asks is all you get access to. But
right, but the halts will be displayed in that in that tape. So usually it's listed like with because you can see the market makers like NASDAQ and Edge and all that stuff. Usually you'll see like a LULD in your level 2. And then whenever that comes up, it'll also have a price to it. Sometimes it's highlighted in red, and that's the halt areas. You won't see those areas in pre-market though. You only see them after market open because stocks don't do a volatility halt in pre-market or after hours. They only do it after market open. They can do a news pending halt, and they can do a SEC like T12 halt in those hours, but most of the time you don't see that too often. So hopefully that answers your question, Snapple. But if you'd have to look into that. I believe that it does. So other than that, I think that's it. Like I said, light day, and I'm just looking for a better opportunity next week. And then hopefully we can have a stronger review session where I can actually dive into some plays because like I said, didn't trade too much. So, and I'm looking to shorting. I'm going to push the gas on next week. So if you're ready for that, get ready. So on that, everybody have a good rest of your evening, and we will see you all tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
See you guys.
Bye.